What's up guys, Artem MMA Analysis here, going to be talking about UFC Fight Night, Rozenstruik versus Volkov again, for the second time, the final time I've done my full card breakdown. Unfortunately for this one, we're not going to be seeing individual videos. The truth is, just personally I've been, haven't had a good couple of days, so I just don't really have the motivation right now to cut this video up into multiple different videos, or record different videos and upload them individually, because that takes hours, and just at the moment, man, I'm just really not in the mood, I'm going to be honest, man, so hopefully I'm not too underwhelmed making this video, but let's just get into it. As always, the fights are sponsored by BetUS. I've got a couple of dogs on the card, I've got a couple of favourites I'm picking on the card as well. Really looking forward to the card in general, but I think now is actually a pretty good time to be following the channel, because you know that I've been covering Road to UFC. I'm going to bring out a Road to UFC update tomorrow. Hopefully Road to UFC's on Tapology. If not, you're going to get two Road to UFC updates this week. You're going to get Road to UFC breakdowns and predictions next week as well. Definitely a good time to be following the channel, because I'm really looking forward to Road to UFC before it comes out on UFC 275. Or upcoming on the days before UFC 275, I mean. So, Erin Blanchfield versus Jj Aldrich. Erin Blanchfield's in at like a minus 700 favourite, I believe, which I think is absolutely insane. I think if you got Jj Aldrich at over plus 500, I think that would be worth a stab, but it was Blood Money MMA Bets that pointed this out to me, that for some reason, I don't really know why, but I don't really think about it. Miranda Maverick would be a huge favourite to beat Jj Aldrich. Miranda Maverick will probably be like minus 300 to beat Jj Aldrich, minus 250, you know what I mean? And Erin Blanchfield would just beat Miranda Maverick pretty clearly. I don't think Miranda Maverick would have too much trouble beating Jj Aldrich. MMA math doesn't really work like that, but Erin Blanchfield, great chain wrestling, great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Her one loss is a split decision to Tracy Cortez, where you could argue either way about who actually won that fight, but I think Erin Blanchfield should win this one, but I just don't like the price tag on her. I do like the fact that everyone's picking her, but I don't like the tag on her. Blanchfield by submission or decision in that one there. I just don't like the price tag. Andreas Michailidis versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. I rewatched the Dana White's Dana White's looking for a fight where Rinat was discovered on, and that was just so wholesome when Carlston Harris got signed. But Carlston Harris got signed on the same day as Rinat did, and he's fought 3 times, and Rinat has taken about a year and a half off. The guy is almost 31 years old, and they signed Rinat thinking that he was going to fight quite soon after. As soon as he beat Eric Spicely by KO, absolutely destroyed Eric Spicely, he has said that he's hungry, he said that he's ready, and he just hasn't fought. He hasn't fought, you know, he's been signed to the UFC for about a year and a half now, and he hasn't fought. So now he's fighting Andreas Michailidis. They kind of gave Andreas Michailidis to Alex Bahia as kind of like a test, to test if Alex Bahia was ready. Alex Bahia proved that he was pretty ready. He knocked out Andreas in the second round, but he wasn't able to hold down. Hold down Alex Bahia. I don't think he's going to be able to hold down Rinat. I don't think he's going to be able to use clinch control against Rinat. Rinat does have power on the hands. Eric Spicely can tell you that for a fact. But I think that we're going to see Rinat win this one too. I think we probably will see a KO on the Rinat side. That's the common pick. I think Rinat's actually not too big of a favourite as well. I think you can get him around minus 200, which I think is actually somewhat fair, to be honest. Jeff Molina versus Zhalgas Samagilov. I really like Jeff Molina on this one. I know that We Want Picks sees a dog in Zhalgas. He's not picking Zhalgas, but I think he does see the dog in Zhalgas. I personally disagree. I think Jeff Molina's got this, man. He's 2-0 in the UFC. His 2 fights in the UFC have been very impressive. He knocked out Daniel Da Silva, and he also beat a Yuri Kaling in a back and forth war sort of fight, one of the first fights that the UFC was coming back after the lockdown. Zhalgas Samakilov's gone 1-3 at flyweight. He's almost 34 years old as well. I just don't see Jeff Molina losing to Zhalgas. I don't see Zhalgas getting Jeff Molina to the ground. I see it potentially taking place on the feet. Zhalgas does like to clinch up against the cage, but once again, I don't think that he's going to be able to do that to Jeff Molina. I think we're going to see a striking matchup here, and I think that Jeff Molina will be able to utilize that 3-inch reach advantage and beat Zhalgas on the feet to a decision. I think in this one here, I'm picking Jeff Molina probably to win a decision and potentially a KO, but I think decision's most likely. Tony Gravely versus Johnny Munoz Jr. Now, Tony Gravely, he has been submitted a few times in the past, but he did show he showed good guillotine defense against Simon Oliveira. Simon Oliveira must have gone for like 7 guillotine attempts in that fight or something absolutely insane, because every time Tony Gravely went for a takedown, Simon Oliveira was pulling guillotine, and it's just such a weird fight. Simon Oliveira is a weird fighter like that though, to be fair, but no, Tony Gravely, good win for him. He's kind of had an up and down UFC career, mostly up, to be fair. He went on a little bit of a win streak, and but he did lose to Nate Maness, and he was the favourite in that fight as well, I believe. But anyway, he beat Simon Oliveira. Johnny Munoz Jr. is pretty good too. He's got a good jiu-jitsu game. I think he's probably the better striker than Tony Gravely. Maybe, actually, that's probably a really controversial opinion. I think Tony Gravely's probably got the better boxing, but I feel like overall kickboxing, Johnny Munoz Jr. is probably a little bit better. Tony Gravely definitely has the better wrestling. I think that Tony Gravely's going to utilise the wrestling to beat Johnny Munoz on this one here. We do know that Johnny Munoz is really good on the ground, and he's got great jiu-jitsu, and he probably could potentially get a submission on Gravely, but I think that Gravely's probably good enough to avoid the submission on that one, so I will be picking Gravely to win a decision in this one here. Now, I'm all over Benoit St. Denis in this one here. I rewatched that fight against Elizeu Zaleski. It's not a hard sorry, it's not an easy fight to watch, because Benoit St. Denis took a lot of damage in that fight, and the referee really could have stopped it a lot earlier than he did, because he never actually stopped it. But that fight really probably should have been stopped. The rest of the corner should have thrown in the towel, or Benoit. I mean, Benoit's not going to give up, man. We know that for a fact. He's going to take the damage, and he's going to come back. He's not going to he's not going to slow down, or he's going to slow down, but he's not going to give up. He's going to take the damage. He's going to take the resistance if he's offered it, and he's going to come back as well. And I don't think Nicolas Dolce is going to be able to provide that resistance to Benoit St. Denis. Benoit St. Denis very good on the ground. He's probably going to get the fight to the ground as well. Utilizes his submission game that he's very well known for, but he's also got an underrated kickboxing game as well, in my opinion. Nicolas Dolce over 0-2, and the UFC got knocked out by Jared Gullen, lost to Ramazan Ameev. But this is only a couple of losses recently. Before that, he was on a little bit of a win streak to get himself into the UFC. But Benoit St. Denis, I trust the ground game, and I trust the submission game as well. I'm going Benoit St. Denis to win a submission in this one here. And now, moving on, man, I think we've got a live dog in Zaruk Adashev, low-key. I feel like a lot of people are going to overlook this guy because of his record, but the reality is he was just signed to the UFC way too early. I know he had a really good striking background. I think he has a decent amount of kickboxing experience, really good kickboxing, but he got signed to the UFC when he was 3-1. He did recently beat Ryan Benoit in a somewhat interesting fight, I guess, by decision, but I'm not writing O'Day Osborne off just yet. I mean, everyone's writing O'Day Osborne off. I think I've seen a couple of people pick Zaruk Adashev. I know Blood Money MMA Bets pick Zaruk Adashev. I know someone else that I think picked Zaruk as well. I respect the pick. I really do respect anyone picking Zaruk Adashev, but I just can't bring myself to do it. I think O'Day Osborne probably should win this one here. I think he's the more well-rounded fighter. He's fighting out of Syndicate MMA. He's got really good boxing, really fast hands. That's what I noticed before he burst onto the UFC scene when I was doing my tape for his debut, which I think he lost. Sorry. So he won on Dana White's Contender Series, but he lost his debut to Brian Kelleher. Brian Kelleher I really do like, actually, as a fighter, but really fast hands. He's got a win over Jerome Rivera, who's probably the worst fighter to ever fight in the UFC. And then he's beaten CJ Vergara, who also is a little bit of a bum, even though he stole a victory off Clayton Rodriguez recently. But yeah, I think O'Day Osborne, I should win this one here. Not by KO. I think probably a decision. I think he's going to show just a more well-rounded game than Zaruk Adashev, in my opinion, for that one there. Man, I've seen the Tapology comments in this one, and people are liking Dan Argueta to potentially have a good battle. I don't know. I don't trust Dan in this one. I'm sorry, guys. I love Dan Argueta. As soon as he lost on the Ultimate Fighter season 29, I followed his career, because since that season, he went to LFA, he beat Rodney Mandela by submission, he went to the main event, beat Myron Santos, who was 12-0 by ground and pound, and then he won a split decision over Diego Silva to win the LFA bantamweight belt. And that was a really close fight. He took a bit of damage, and that was only a couple of weeks ago as well. Damon Jackson is really big for 145, and Dan Argueta is a more natural 135 pounder. And mix that in with the fact that Damon Jackson likes to use a grappling-based skill set. He's going to take the fight to the ground. He's going to look for submissions. He's going to be so much bigger than Dan Argueta. so much bigger than Dan Aguilera. He's 5'11" compared to Dan, who's 5'7", 73-inch reach compared to a 70-inch reach for Dan Aguilera as well. I know we want Picks as picking Dan Aguilera as the dog. I do respect the pick. I do like Dan Aguilera as a prospect, but I like him as a bantamweight prospect. I wish that Dan Aguilera either signed straight up to the UFC and got a full camp against a guy actually at 135 pounds, or fought on Dana White's Contender Series this year, but unfortunately, or fortunately for him, if he beats Damon Jackson, that's a huge win, but I think it's too much too soon for Dan Aguilera. I'm picking Damon Jackson to win a submission in this one, in this one here. Joe Salecki versus Alex the Silva. Once again, I think it was MMA experts picking Alex the Silva, man. A lot of people picking the dogs, but I'm writing a lot of favourites in this one here. I think the only dog I've got on this card is Askar Mozharov. Yeah, I think the only dog I've got on this card is actually Askar Mozharov. That's funny. I'm really sorry, guys. I don't really have any dogs picked for the card. But anyway, Joe Salecki, I'm picking him to win this one here. I believe he is the favourite. I think understandably so. He's got a really good ground game. Alex the Silva had a pretty padded record coming into the UFC. They got somewhat exposed to Alexander Yakovlev and Brad Riddell, but Bradley Riddell's really good. He's taken a couple of years off, and there could be an argument to be made that Alex the Silva's going to come back, and he's going to look so much better in the couple of years off, but Joe Salecki just lost a split decision to Jared Gordon, who isn't too bad in my opinion. He's also got the win over Jim Miller, which has aged well. He beat Austin Hubbard, who's not in the UFC anymore. I like Joe Salecki, man. I do like Joe Salecki to win a decision in this one here. I will be picking him to win. I know a lot of people are picking Alex the Silva, man. I can't believe it. I'm picking like almost all favourites on this card. I'm really sorry, guys, but I just can't. There's just no dogs. I don't pick people because of the odds. You know what I mean? I pick people. I pick people if I think that they're gonna win. You know what I mean? So like, that's just my personal opinion. I'm picking Karolina Kowalkiewicz to turn this one around here. I don't actually know. She might actually be the dog in this fight. I think she's a slight favourite to win, though. She's on a 5-fight win streak. Really unfortunately for 5-fight losing streak. So really unfortunate for her. I thought both girls were retired. It's really funny though, because I made a video on this like 3 or 4 days ago with my full card predictions, and then MMA Junkie and all of that only started to post the fact that this fight was being made a couple of days after. So I don't know. I don't know why somehow I knew about this fight before MMA Junkie did, or I don't know why they chose to not announce it. But I'm picking Karolina Kowalkiewicz to win this one. I think she's got the better striking than Felice Herrig. Obviously, Felice Herrig is going to try and use some wrestling to get the fight to the ground as well. But Karolina, her 5-fight losing streak includes Jessica Andrade, former champion, Michelle Waterson. That's actually not a good loss, to be fair. But Alexa Grasso, pretty good prospect. Yan Jianan, pretty good prospect. In my opinion, beat Marina Rodriguez in her last fight. And Jessica Penne, who is actually somewhat making a comeback, low-key. Or is she? Or is she retired? Or I think I might be getting her confused with Sarah McMahon. But anyway, Felice Herrig went on a 3-fight losing streak as well. She hasn't fought for a couple of years, though. She lost to Verona Jandiroba, who wasn't too bad, to be fair. Lost to Michelle Waterson once again. Not really a good loss to have. And then also lost to Karolina Kowalkiewicz. That was the last win of Karolina Kowalkiewicz's record. But Karolina's been more active, somewhat. I mean, she fought 9 months ago. Felice Herrig fought about 2 years ago. I think that these girls are probably taking the fight on somewhat short notice as well, since it was only announced about 3 or 4 days ago as well. I'm going Kowalkiewicz to win a decision, but if you're betting this fight, man, don't bet this fight. Do not bet this fight. Maybe the over 2.5, but even then I don't think that the odds are going to be worth it. I'll pick Karolina to win the fight, though. And now my only dog on the card, man. I'm picking Askar Mozharov to win this one, because he's absolutely insane. Honestly, I know someone commented on my last video, I'm sorry I forgot your name, saying they can't believe that I'm picking Askar Mozharov, but I've seen so many other people picking Askar Mozharov as well. But Alonzo Menifield, he looked somewhat pretty good against William Knight and Ed Herman as well, where he showed that his cardio was better than a lot of people expected. In the past, Alonzo Menifield, if he got out of the first round, he had gassed out, but now he's actually showing some improvements on the cardio side. But he's almost 35 years old now. He's getting on the older side. I mean, it's like heavyweight to a lot of guys that are a little bit older anyway. The Glover Teixeira is like 43 and he's the champion. But Askar Mozharov, you know, I like this guy as a prospect. I know he had a really bad showing against Kristen Torres, and even then he hasn't looked super good on the regional scene, but this guy's insane. He's absolutely crazy. He's the most tested USADA fighter in 2021 as well, so we know that he can't be on roids because USADA has tested him but I believe more than anyone else on the entire roster in 2021. So he hasn't fought for a year and 6 months. I know he's going to be itching to get out there. I think he's going to go absolutely insane in the first round. I think Alonzo Minifield is going to go absolutely insane in the first round. It's going to be who's going to connect first on the feet. Minifield, though, maybe he'll shoot for a takedown. Maybe Minifield will play like a wrestling based sort of game, jiu-jitsu based sort of game, and just come in with a smarter game plan. But I think Askar Mozharov's gonna get the KO on the feet, man. I really do think that Mozharov is gonna throw. He's gonna stand and bang in that first round. We're gonna get a first round knockout for Mozharov, man. Either of these guys are probably gonna get slept in the first. Poliana Botelho versus Karine Silva. I really like Karine Silva as a prospect. She didn't look absolutely incredible against Kihi Yan, 20-3 record. Yes, that's a really, really good record, but the level of competition that Kihi Yan built that record up against really isn't that impressive. But still a good submission win for Karine Silva. I believe that was in the second round. Prior to that, though, she has been fighting somewhat decent levels of competition, I guess, in her last 3 or 4 fights, you could say. Poliana Botelho, though, she's been in the UFC, but she's 2-3 in her last 5. Lost to Luana Carolina by split decision. She's not too bad. She's got a good Muay Thai background. Jillian Robertson is pretty good on the ground, and Cynthia Calvillo. That was when Cynthia Calvillo was making the come up, and there was a lot of hype around her. But she's 33 years old. She's a little bit older than Karine Silva, who's only 28. I think Karine Silva's got the momentum. She's got the debut. I mean, there's the Dana White's Contender Series 2021 fade is real, but I'm not fading Karine Silva in this one. I really do like her to win this one. Inside the distance, actually. You know what? I will be picking Karine Silva to finish this fight because all 14 wins from Karine Silva have come by finish, and I don't think she's going to get her first decision win over Poliana Botelho. I think Karine Silva is going to get the job done by a ground and pound KO or a submission. I'm pretty confident in Mike Trajano to win this one here. Lucas Almeida is a dog. He went pretty crazy in the first round against Daniel Zellhuber. But Daniel Zellhuber is a really, really hot prospect, and he's going to be making his debut in a few months' time as well, which is pretty exciting. But since then, he come back. He beat a guy in the regional Senate jungle fight, and now he's fighting Mike Trajano. But I'm not writing off Mike Trajano. He fought Hakeem Dawodu, who's a pretty good fighter. I'd say he's probably in the top 25 of the featherweight division. I don't think that would be wrong to say. He beat Ludovic Klein. Ludovic Klein somewhat made a comeback at 155 now. Lost to Grant Dawson as well. Before that, though, he fought and beat undefeated guys because he's actually the Ultimate Fighter season 28, I think, winner. The winner of the season where everyone was undefeated. But I like Trezano to win a decision here. I think he's going to keep the fight on the feet. He's going to win the fight on the feet. Lucas Almeida potentially live for a knockout because I do think that he's probably going to try and search for it. But I think Mike Trezano should win this one here. It's not an easy debut for Lucas Almeida in my opinion. Now, Dan Ige versus Mobster Eveluive. I'm picking Mobster Eveluive to win this one. I know I've been really, really harsh on Dan Ige in the past, and that is just because I do think that Dan Ige is somewhat overrated. I know that's probably a thing that a hater would say. I'm not a hater of Dan Ige, but you know, I think that Mobster Eveluive is going to be the one that wins this fight, to be fair. I think that he's going to be able to utilize the wrestling if he needs to, or if he even wants to, and he's going to win the fight that way. Dan Ige, I mean, the thing is, Chan Sung Jung found success in the wrestling department against Dan Ige, and I think that Mobster Eveluive could utilize a very similar, if not the same game plan to win that fight. And since then, you know, he beat Hakeem Dawodu, who's a good fighter. He beat Nick Lentz by split decision, but Nick Lentz, a good Grizzly veteran, beat Mike Grundy, who is alright, I guess. But yeah, I guess like the wins on Mobster Eveluive's record are good, but they're not super great. Like Dan Ige has been in there with some good guys. I mean, he beat Gavin Tucker by first round KO. He robbed Edson Barboza of a victory. I mean, in reality, Dan Ige's 1-4 in his last 5. So I think Mobster Eveluive's going to be able to come in here. He's obviously got really good momentum. He's 15-0. Dan Ige's not got the greatest momentum in the world. I mean, he's 1-4 in his last 5 pretty much, and he got out wrestled by Chan Sung Jung, by the Korean Zombie. So I think that Mobster Eveluive really should be able to utilize the same sort of game plan to win a decision in this one here. Now moving up the card, we've got Alexander Volkov versus Giazino Rozenstrike, and I'm going to be picking Volkov to win, man. Once again, I'm not picking the dog. I was on Rozenstrike, but now the more I think about it, Volkov's wins in the UFC look a bit better than his losses. Like, I mean, he He knocked out Walt Harris, who's pretty good. He knocked out Alistair Overeem. Man, pain. Lost to Cyril Gane, who's a former interim champion. Arguably beat Francis Ngannou in their last fight. Beat Marcin Tybura, who I think is somewhat overrated himself, and lost to Tom Aspinall, who's really, really good, but he did not show up against Tom Aspinall, in my opinion. Giazino Rozenstruik, though, he's become the Rozenstrike. He became the Rozenstrike against Ngannou, where he got KO'd in 40 seconds. He did knock out Junior Dos Santos, to be fair, to his credit. Lost to Cyril Gane, where once again he did become the Rozenstrike. Knocked out Augusto Sakai, but Augusto Sakai is coming off, I think, like 2 or 3 KO losses right now, so that win hasn't aged super well, and he did lose to Curtis Blades, who out-wrestled him. Alexander Volkov has landed, I believe, 0. This is just coming off my head, by the way, I don't have the stats on me. I think 0.5 takedowns per 15 minutes, so he has shot for takedowns before, and he has got them, so about 1 in every 2 fights he lands 1 takedown. So if he needs to, he's got some wrestling in the back pocket, but he's obviously got the kickboxing base to rely on. He's 6'7" with an 80-inch reach. Giazino Rozenstruik has an absolutely insane kickboxing background, yes, but he seems to freeze up a little bit, man. He doesn't really seem to be throwing the power and the bombs as he did when he was undefeated. Now I think he's almost scared to lose. You know, I'm a bit worried about that with Rozenstrike, so that's why I like Volkov to win. The only fight that you could compare this fight to, which I know a lot of other MMA predictors are doing already, so I'm not coming up with anything original here, but a lot of people have been going on about how Volkov's most similar fight to the Rozenstrike fight is the Derek Lewis one, and he was winning that fight until he got KO'd at the very end, you know, and that was just really unfortunate for Volkov. But before that, he was on a really good win streak as well. Volkov's fought really good competition. He's been up in the top for a very long time. I think that he should be able to beat Rozenstrike in this one here. There's a very good chance that the fight doesn't go the distance because it's a heavyweight fight, but I think Volkov, I mean, he's shown that he can go 5 rounds before. Rozenstrike, on the other hand, I don't think he has shown that he can go 5 rounds before. I think the Gane fight might have been 5 rounds. Or am I just an idiot? I think I might be an idiot, but the point is I think Volkov probably should be able to win a decision here. So hopefully you guys didn't mind that video. It's just going to be the one-off. I'm not going to be doing my individual fight videos like I usually do. It's just not good timing for me right now. And I'll see you in the next one as always, man. Catch you later.